Our special guests today are Pernille Lauritsen and Louise Huusom, the founders and managers of MindJuice Company. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for...
Louise, will you start by introducing yourself and your background?
Yeah. So my name is Louise. I am educated as a pedagogue 10 years ago, and have worked with children from all ages for 13 years before I decided to start up MindJuice with Pernille. I have 2 other coach educations behind me. I'm a MindJuice master coach and also a certified mediator. And then I've been working in this business for the past 6 years now.
Great.
Yeah.
Pernille?
Yeah. I have a background from, I have a university degree in journalism, and I'm also studying to become a psychologist now. Then I have been a coach for 14 years now. I have several coach educations international behind me. And then we founded MindJuice 6 years ago, right after I had worked as chief editor for a magazine for some time and realized that that was not what I wanted to spend my life on.
Okay, so you choose another path. What's the idea behind MindJuice?
I think the idea is really we wanted to create a place where ideas could grow, that could change the world. That was the common vision we had from the beginning, knowing that we have so many resources inside of us that don't cost money, they're just there. And people are really blind to the scale we're talking about.
Yeah. So that's why I decided to go ahead and start our own, because we knew that we had something to give.
Okay.
And we wanted to help.
Yes. How are you helping people? What approach do you use when you coach people?
I think our approach is really like we constantly train ourselves. We travel all over the world to do the not only newest trainings, but when we hear of something that's really profound and high quality, we go do it. And so we really over the years created our own coaching style, which you could say is a mixture between classic coaching, what we would call classic coaching, transformational coaching, and cognitive coaching skills, all mixed.
Methodology.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. How do you monitor the development of your clients?
We keep asking for feedback. That's the best way to see how are we doing as a coach. So we give them a sheet, a feedback sheet all the time, so we can see how we can improve and what it is that our client needs to work more on.
Yes. Do you use a specific mechanism to monitor the clients? I mean, to measure how intensive coaching this client needs and so on? We have them fill out some papers before they even begin. First we have a meeting, and then we have a long set of papers. You have to fill out areas in your life and various things. And then also the different styles that you would prefer to be coached in. So yeah, we do a lot of, we call it an intake process before we take in a client. We monitor them during the process, and we also, you know, like Louis is saying, ask for feedback and then take it from there. Louisa, how much did your pedagogic background help you in coaching people?
It has helped me a lot, because I have a understanding about how people works. So when I coach, I can use that also in seeing in how they're doing in the development. So I use that a lot.
Okay. Pernille, you're educated as a journalist and wrote several articles in major newspapers and so on. How do you use your journalistic skills in coaching?
Yeah, I use them all the time, because before I became a journalist, I was a very, very shy person. But becoming a journalist, you need to be able to communicate with people. So I think there's many parallels between journalism and coaching.
Such as what, for instance?
Well, it's just there are some places that are the same, and there are some that are extremely different. What is the same is you want to build up trust and confidence, so you can have an open conversation and where you can reveal certain things about the situation or whatever you're interviewing about.
Establishing dialogue.
Exactly. And journalists, if you want to be a great journalist, you need to train those skills a lot.
And where they differ, I'm actually doing a big presentation for 30 journalists in Riga two weeks from now about how they can use coaching. Because as journalists, we were trained in really finding the bad guys. And that is just too one-dimensional. It's not how the world works, and journalists, they need to get over that, and that they are objectives, because it doesn't exist. So we know that as coaches that we are not.
You provide courses and education in MindJuice. Among those is a master in coaching. Tell us more about this type of education.
This is a training that we're most proud of, because it's a one-year training and it's international. We have people flying in right now from Canada, from Montreal and various places. It's really about training your leadership skills. So you have to, part of it is to create your own non-profit project, to give something. And then you got to manage your own team. So you got to find some people who want to follow you, and you can't pay them anything. That's one step. Another step is you learn to become a team coach, not just theoretically, but you also have hands-on training. And so that is the one-year training. Then we work with, for each one-year training, we work with 20 major companies. And they're like from the Red Cross to other big corporations in Denmark.
So people taking this master in coaching are people coming from companies, not individual people?
Oh, it's both.
It's
both. But really what they get in contact with is they want to contribute to the world. One of our students created a project where she gathered 101 artists supporting Haiti. And they just send down 153,000 to Haiti. And this is just their this year donation. They're donating every year to a country in the world. And this is what they all did, similar things.
You also provide courses such as Enneagram and Enneagram Shadows. Louisa, tell us more about those courses.
The Enneagram is about 9 different kind of personality types. And we all have these 9 personality types, but we only use one of them. So in this course you can learn how does your personality type help you, but also stops you in some areas. And then also how can you use all the other different kinds of personality types. So you become a more complete person.
More competitive.
More competitive, but also more complete.
For some it's becoming less competitive.
Also that.
Some people are well, some people are so competitive that that's all they do, and they forget to enjoy life, they forget to have fun, they forget their family and friends. It's all about competing. For what?
And it's also about seeing what are the resources that you have and how can you use them in the best way, because we all have them, but we forget about it.
And the best way to create a kind of a balance between private and professional life.
Sorry?
The best way to use them to create a balance between private and professional life.
You can use it that way, and you can use it just professional and just in private.
So one of your courses is called Burn Through, which is a guideline on how to avoid fear when talking to public. In your opinion, what is the reason behind fear?
There was a survey done in the States 10 years ago about what people feared the most. And what they feared more than dying was public speaking. And the fear, you can boil it down to the fear of being judged, ridiculed, and excluded from the group. So that's a very present fear for people when they get, you know, on stage for the first time, or even have to prepare people for interviews as well, and stuff like that. So the fear of being judged from other people, and what will other people think about me? That is very intense fear for a lot of people.
So your job is raising the self-esteem of those people.
And the fun of it, you know, enjoy it. Like I was thinking before I came here, I used to be very nervous before interviews, and I was like, wow, it's going to be fun, you know, we're going to be together. You know, she's on the maternity leave right now, I haven't seen you for a few weeks. And I'll just enjoy it, you know, but before I would have not slept for maybe 4 or 5 days before an interview.
That's good to hear. that you feel relaxed. What is the Svaropa yoga?
Svaropa yoga is a kind of yoga that we have integrated in our education, in the sense that we have a very, very good teacher, Henriette Rosenberg, who is an internationally acclaimed yoga teacher. And what she does is you actually sit on the chair a lot of the time for the part we use. And you really learn to sit the right way and to stretch your body in a very simple way, but with extremely surprising results. So we use it so people learn to sit right, to relax, and also to investigate into where does the tension go. When I'm upset about something, people tend to think it goes away.
Yes.
But sometimes it gets stuck in your body somewhere.
Yes, yes.
And you need to...
So it helps people getting a certain relief.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
And
very
also in the MindJuice coaching, we work a lot about the body, mind, and soul. So it goes perfectly together.
This combination of body, mind, and soul is becoming a high trend in the market today.
Yeah.
Everyone is talking about it. How do you see an interrelation between Svaropa yoga and other forms of therapy? Or do you combine it with other forms of therapy?
I mean, I'm sure I know that Henriette, our teacher, combines it with deep therapy. So that's completely possible. I mean, we are only students of Svaropa yoga because we have someone else providing the teaching. So we can just see it fits extremely well with the coaching.
Have you tried it yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Pernille, you wrote a book with Pia Beck-Rudel called The Tweens.
Yeah,
what was the motive behind this book?
The motive behind this is the whole area of the tweens are the ones that are in between childhood and teenagehood, and they are struggling with a lot of things these days in the Western world.
Yes.
So the intention was to write a book. It's called Give Your Child the Courage to Be Themselves.
Yes.
So how can you as a parent start supporting your child with all the knowledge we have about, it can be all from breath work to small exercises from the coaching world, etc., that are free. School teachers can use it. It doesn't have to cost anything. Just read the book and start doing the exercise, and you see that your relationship with your child will change.
Yes, okay. You also wrote another book together with Jesper Juhl called Conversation with Parents.
Yes, this one.
Tell us more about this book.
This is a book I did with Jesper Juhl is an internationally acclaimed family therapist, and we actually started a company together, originally me, Louise, and Jesper, called the Family Laboratory.
Yes.
And during those years, 5 years we worked together, we interviewed 100 parents, Jesper and I, where I would coach them before they came, and he had a therapeutic session, advising session with them, and I would coach them again. And that ended up with being 100 articles that I wrote.
Yes.
Out of those 100, we took the 16 universal conversations that all parents will have with their children at some point.
And you published them in
And we published those.
Good idea.
In 3 countries, actually.
Yes. Louisa, what are the challenges that parents are facing today in raising their children?
Is that there's so much influence from all the media, and especially when you look at the tween book. A lot of children want to be a teenager too quick. So you're still looking at as a parent, you're looking at childhood as the way it was when you were a child, but you forget about what's going on now. So children today...
The shift of generation.
Exactly. And so children today, they are just much more up to beat.
Yes.
And that's a difficult for a lot of parents to deal with. You know, how do you deal with all that? That they want, you know, cell phones, they want iPhones, they want computers, and being on the internet. So so that's a big challenge for them.
Do you believe that technology and media is a contributing factor in distracting children?
I think it's both. It depends on how you're using it, but it can be a big contribution for them. You see that children now at the age of 8 already know how to speak English because they can use computers and games and
mobile phones
as well. Exactly. So they're much more helpful in that way. You know, much more international. But
and some of them are like less lonely because they'll connect. So there's lots of great stuff. But parents need to stop giving up and get more interested, involved. And this is what we try to like call parents. Please wake up, because we're all busy. We all have jobs, we all have big visions, but I mean the children we have are probably the most valuable thing we have in our lives.
Absolutely, and
so
they should be a priority in our lives.
Exactly.
And they're our future.
What is the role of coaching in personal development?
I would say there's many different kinds of coaching. I worked as a president for the International Coach Federation in Denmark for several years, so there are so many different kinds of coaching. The coaching we use has a lot of personal development, and some coaches don't use it at all. For us, you cannot coach. You cannot become an extraordinary world-class coach without working with yourself, because you are who gets in the way of the conversation a lot as a coach.
because you'll ask the question as a coach, and then you'll be thinking about how am I doing?
Yes.
How am I doing now? Rather than thinking about, well, how's the person I'm coaching doing?
Yes.
And you need to get over that.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's critical.
Louise, what is the influence of personal development on the individual's life and choices we make?
It's a huge difference. I mean, when you start working with yourself, you see all the choices that you actually have.
And have made.
And have made, exactly. And how can you use the best of it all the time?
Yes.
And that's how I can use my background as well, because we all have a background.
Yes.
And how can we use that in the best way to develop ourselves instead of stopping ourselves?
Yes.
So looking at yourself and develop yourself the whole time is the key word, I think. You know, to be a great parent, a great co-worker, a great CEO, or whatever it is that you're doing in your life.
Yes. How crucial is it today to learn as individuals to be in the here and now, get rid of the past, do not be arrested by the future, and live in the self moment?
Yeah. It's of course important if you want to use your full potential, but you don't get rid of your past, you get informed by it. And you need to learn that the future is something you live into, so they'll constantly affect you in the present. So if you have a shitty future you're looking into, you'll be affected in a bad way now. But if you're looking forward to going to Hawaii for a month next week, you'll be happy now. So you can work with that. So it's critical that we make value-based choices when we are present. When we're not here, we start making weird choices that we regret later. And yesterday I was doing this presentation for a lot of leaders, and I was just slowly coaching all of them a little bit. And what they saw, one woman saw that she was spending 2.5 months, because I added it up, on doing other stuff than what she wanted to do. And this was like 24/7. I mean, this was like 2.5 months. I think that's pretty normal. What do you call it? Overspringshandling in Danish. What's that? It's you want to go this way, and you start doing all this weird stuff. You start washing up. You start doing, you know, stuff you weren't planning on doing. And that, with that amount of time you spend on that, that's when you're checked out.
Spontaneity also.
Yes, because kind of, but it's more like a mechanism that kind of takes you away from something that might be a little bit scary to live into, like your dreams.
How do you seek your own personal development as coaches, Louise?
We both have our own personal coach, and then also looking at what different kinds of courses are there, and go in and do those. So we get new knowledge all the time and new ways to use coaching and use personal development. So we are constantly
develop. Is it challenging to keep developing as a coach?
I don't know if the challenge is to keep developing, because I really enjoy, you know, sitting as a student, especially internationally. It's always exciting and interesting. I think the pitfall is more to not develop. So the challenge is time, I think, for a lot of coaches, even though that's what we coach people on, because you get so committed to making a difference for people that, you know, you got to keep an eye on that there are other things you need to be doing. I think it's the same for like doctors, nurses, pedagogues and stuff. You need to stay in balance also physically, in terms of well-being and health.
And this two-ways communications is always demanding and accountable when you work with people. You provide business coaching as well. When we look at companies today, we can see that there is a market trend towards personal development, self-realization, mindfulness, and so on. How much do such factors influence the business potential of a company today?
A lot. I mean, and businesses need to start trusting it more, because what we see over the last few years is that it's gone from nice to have to need to have, for leaders especially. Because they are dealing with people who might have their husbands on fire due to the financial crisis, or wives, or the economy is still bad. So they need to have both strategic skills, emotional skills, and grounding skills as leaders, whereas before they could get away with one of them. You can't do that now. Leaders get called to monthly meetings, weekly meetings, and checked up upon, and cause the results in a much shorter term. So they need to use their potential. So mindfulness, personal development is critical to train these skills.
To develop the skills also of the employees. Louise, do you believe that when employees are developing their skills, it will contribute to the market positioning of a company?
Yeah, definitely. Because when you have more happy employees, it would also affect the company.
Yes.
And what they're making, the products. So definitely, yeah. It's and also you can see there's a lot of studies made that when people are more happy at work and they get to work with themselves more, they don't get so sick.
And they are more productive, and they are more aware of quality.
Exactly, and more happier to go to work.
I mean, we are a good example ourselves, because we started out 6 years ago. Now we have the biggest market, one of the biggest market positions in the coaching world in Denmark. We have trained 500 coaches, which is a lot here, and we're a small country. And we have 10 employees full time. So, you know, this is exactly, we use our own, we take our own medicine, and that has us go, and now we're going international. From the spring we'll be in New York, and we'll be in Europe, and so it's all due to we do the training.
Yes. What are the challenges you meet in your work, daily work?
The biggest challenge is the prejudice against coaching, but it's also, I completely understand it. So it's...
So you're aware of it?
Yeah, and it's like, how do you differentiate such a young, it's not an old, what's it called? I mean, coaches has not been around for that long. Therapists now are being very recognized in Denmark, but not 10 years ago. We're struggling with, you know, could we get it protected, the title as coach, so that you need substantial training to become a coach.
And recognition.
And recognition. So we're struggling with the people come in and say, can I trust it? Can I trust that coaching will help me?
This is an authenticity issue, and the state has to play a role somehow in it. Louise, how are you inspired?
I'm inspired in so many different ways, but I'm really inspired when I see people go out and do whatever they want to do in life.
Yes.
That's really what touches and moves me, to see that people are willing to do something for themselves and take care of themselves. And do whatever, and I don't care about is it a big thing or a small thing. I mean, it can even just be, you know, do whatever it takes to have a happy family.
Absolutely.
But I think that's inspiring.
Pernille, what does it take today to be a source of inspiration for others?
I think it takes really that you become your own leader. You need to do the work first before you can lead anyone else. And it's a lot of work, but it's fun too. So just, you know, you start somewhere, you start with a book, you start with a training, and you get started, and then you suddenly realize after maybe 6 months, a year, that suddenly people are starting to relate to you in a totally different way.
Yes.
And slowly you'll start noticing, wow, I'm an inspiration not only to my children, but to my friends, and maybe even to my parents. That's big.
Yes, that's big. Do you cooperate with other international institutes, companies, experts?
Yeah, we do. We have a whole range of international teachers working with us from the States and England and I mean, what? Holland? Who are you thinking about?
Angelique.
Oh yeah, Angelique. So we constantly, if we meet a teacher, we're not, you know, afraid of approaching them saying, do you want to work with us? And a lot of them actually do want to work with us when they hear what we're up to.
Yes, you traveled a lot, both of you, and if we look at your travel experiences, your observations about other cultures, other forms of therapy, personal development in other countries, how do you compare what you're doing in Denmark with what is happening other places?
I mean, we are mostly in the Western world when it comes to doing our work. But the difference, I think, of course, in America, as soon as you go there, there's the whole human potential movement happened in the States due to the Second World War, that, you know, all the thinkers of Europe moved over there. So, of course, they've been there, done that, with a lot of things that haven't even reached Denmark yet.
They are always one step forward.
Yeah, not always, because what we've started to notice is that what we're good at in Denmark is to provide really high-quality education. So they might do all the experiments and all this stuff,
and we'll go study it and we'll put it together and we're very respected over there as Danes, as some or Scandinavians, as someone who have very thorough education. So I think we're good at that.
Yes, good. What are your future plans, Louise?
It is to keep developing MindJuice, of course, and also to become more international and to open up in other countries. And divide, what's it called, supply our services and the MindJuice coaching that we do. In
and create more diversity.
Exactly, yeah.
And we have one more thing that we're also working on right now is to start our MindJuice Family Foundation, where we can provide non-profit work for teenagers, families.
And their parents.
And their parents. Yes. And for the school system, because we really we are out frequently in schools, and we have like 100 students. We work with them for one day, and they get, you know, visionary. They suddenly get in touch with their dreams, what's important, why they need to study, all this stuff. So we think schools should have this for free. So we're gonna see well, that's our commitment anyway, and that we will provide this starting in Denmark, and then see. There's a lot of volunteers who would like to come in and give this as well.
Yes, and be involved in such activities.
Yeah.
Pernille and Louise, it was a great pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for your time today.
You're welcome.
That was all for our program. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.